Today I've got a tech video for you guys. My least favorite thing to do while off-roading, airing up my tires. This is my spare tire from my Toyota pickup. So the idea is to replicate what you would normally be doing out there on the trail. We'll see how long it'll take for each one of these systems to air up 25 pounds. What is up, you guys? Matt McAdam here, your truck editor at Driving Line. This is another episode of Chasing Dust. Today, I've got a tech video for you guys. We're gonna go over a topic that is actually my least favorite thing to do while off-roading, and that is airing up my tires. There's a lot of different methods to air up your tires out there. There's different kinds of compressors out there, CO2 tanks, all kinds of stuff, onboard air. Today I'm going to go over a couple of the most basic ones that people will use out there to air up their tires after you're done with the trail, and see which one works for you, which one works best. There's going to be pros and cons to each method, but I'll let you decide which one's best for you. First, let's talk a little bit about why people air their tires down. One of the most important things to do when you're off-road is to get as much traction as you can from your tires. And to do that, you can let some air out of your tires to increase the footprint that's underneath your tire as you're rolling over the terrain. Airing down is something that a lot of off-roaders do, not just for the traction, but also for the comfort, because you have less air in the tire, which means that sidewall is going to be able to flex a little bit more and soak up some more of that terrain and kind of give you a smoother ride as you drive over. So not only are you doing it for the traction, but you're also doing it for ride quality. But of course, with that comes having to air your tires back up as soon as you hit the pavement. A lot of us drive our vehicles to the trails and drive them home, which means you're going to be doing a lot of pavement driving on the way there and back. And you definitely don't want to be doing that with your tires aired down, because that's not going to be good for your tires. It's actually rather dangerous. Airing up is a necessary evil when it comes to off-roading. And like I said, it's one of the things I actually hate to do because it just takes forever. And usually by the time I'm done with the trail, I'm pretty tired. I want to get home, maybe grab something to eat. You know, you're just kind of wiped out, and last thing you want to do is sit at each tire for 10 minutes and wait for it to fill up. There's a lot of really cool new methods out there of airing up tires, and I'm going to go over a couple of them for you guys here today. So as we head into the garage here, I got a little setup for you guys, just so we can kind of go through some of the different methods here. So I'm going to go through each one of these for you guys, but first I want to talk about the tire we're using today. This is my spare tire from my Toyota pickup. It is a 35 1250 17 Nitto tire Ridge Grappler. This is their hybrid terrain. You can see it's not quite like a mud terrain. It's not quite an all-terrain. It's kind of in between. And it's a great tire for those of you who like to do a lot of street driving, but you do off-road on the weekends too. I've had great success with this tire in practically any kind of terrain you can think of. So this one happens to be my spare. It's pretty new. I've ran a couple thousand miles on it, but that's pretty much it. And it's on a KMC Machete beadlock and a 17-inch wheel. Beadlock rings are a whole different topic we can get into on another day. But for right now, I just wanted you guys to see the tire that I'm using. Some of you may be using a smaller tire or a larger tire. So as we go through how long it takes each one of these to air up your tires, just keep in mind that those times will vary depending on how big or small your tire is. The larger the tire, the longer it will take your tire to air up, no matter what system you're using. And then vice versa. If you have a smaller tire, you can get it done a little bit quicker because there's less air to fill in that space. So first of all, let's take a look at the different setups we have here. Our first one here is a Viair 400p automatic compressor. This is a portable compressor you can get from Viair. I've had this for many years. I've been using it on many different vehicles. It's a really, really great system. It's got some alligator clamps that mount to your battery, and it comes with a coil hose here and a chuck to air up, which actually has the locking mechanism on it, so you don't have to hold your hand down on the valve stem the whole time you're airing up. So it's super good. The automatic portion of this means that you can turn this compressor on, and as soon as it reaches a maximum threshold PSI within the line, and there's air not moving out of the end of it here, it will actually turn off so you don't burn the pump out, just building pressure inside the line. So that's really cool, because a lot of times you take your chuck off of the tire to check your PSI or check whatever. or go to the next tire, the last thing you want is your compressor to be running that entire time, therefore burning up this motor. So Viair is a great company. I've been using it for a long time. Really, really happy with their products. So we'll see how this one does. The next one over here is one I just purchased, actually. This is a Pittsburgh from Harbor Freight. It's a 12 volt, 150 PSI high volume air compressor. This is more of a budget friendly compressor. This one wasn't very expensive. So we'll go into pricing later on just so I can give you guys an accurate price there. However, yeah, this is from Harbor Freight. It is sort of a lower end compressor, but I just got it. I've never used it before. Excited to see how it does. It does come with a coil hose and an air chuck that looks like it threads into the valve stem, and of course it's got a gauge. So this one too, I believe, is an automatic, so it doesn't run the entire time. It does shut off after it reaches a maximum pressure inside the line. And last but not least, we're going to talk about this Powertank. This is a 10-pound bottle system from Powertank. It is a CO2 bottle. I got it in red powder coat to match the truck. Really, really nice finish. I've had this for a couple of years now, and I gotta say, this is my favorite way to air up, and I'll explain why. You guys will see exactly why I say that. But of course, everyone's results will vary, but this happens to be my favorite here. Nevertheless, I wanted to bring it out and just show you guys exactly how it stacks up compared to a couple of compressors that you'd have to, hook up to your battery, like these two over here. Of course, this does come with a coil hose and an air chuck. It did come with a Powertank air chuck that's really, really nice. For whatever reason, I can't find it. So sorry, I'm gonna have to buy another one of those. The gauge is actually super nice from Powertank. It's got the fluid on the inside of it. It has a braided steel line, really, really solid brass fittings. It's just a super nicely built gauge and chuck. And unfortunately, I don't have it with me today, so we're gonna be using this one right here. Okay, so the idea is to replicate what you would normally be doing out there on the trail or at the end of the trail, which we're gonna air this tire down to a normal air down PSI. For me, it would be right about 16 pounds. For the purposes of this video, just to make the gauges to read a little bit easier, I'm gonna have it down to 10 pounds. So that way you guys can see that the tire is at 10 pounds when we start, and then I'll set the timer, and we'll put each one of these systems on the tire running at maximum volume, and we will see how long it'll take to reach 35 pounds of air. For this Ridge Grappler, for me, that's what I run it at. So from 10 to 35, that's an increase of 25 pounds of air. For a 35-inch tire, we'll see how long it'll take for each one of these systems to air up 25 pounds. But first things first, we gotta air this tire down. So I'm gonna use my valve core tool to just let all the air out of this tire down to about 10 pounds. All right, well, we got our tire all aired down to 10 PSI. As you guys can see, I have the compressor hooked up over here, the coil hose, and the chuck on the valve stem here. And I have the Crown Victoria here with the alligator clamps on the battery. And remember, guys, when you're using compressors that use your 12-volt battery system, make sure you run the vehicle while you're running the compressor. You don't want your battery to die, and then you're left with 4 tires that are aired all the way up, but a battery that doesn't start your truck. So make sure you have the vehicle running. That's why I have the Crown Vic behind me here running, so that way we get the alternator to charge the battery as we use it. Okay, so as you can see right there, it is at 10 pounds, and we're gonna start airing this thing up. All right, well, there you guys saw it. That was 10 pounds to 35 pounds. And the Viair compressor did it in 3 minutes and 23 seconds. So almost 3.5 minutes to go from 10 pounds to 35 pounds on this 35-inch tire. So that's actually not really bad. The Viair compressor did it in 3 minutes and 23 seconds. So if you're talking about all 4 tires, adding some time moving between the tires, you're talking about a 15-minute air up. total for all 4 of your tires on your vehicle, which is pretty good. 15 minutes isn't that long to sit on the side of the road and kind of air up your tires to get back on the highway. The cool thing about the Viair is that it's just extremely reliable. It's really, really well built. Again, I've had this thing for years, probably 6 years now, and it's gone on dozens of wheeling trips with me, bouncing around the back of the truck, and then, just hook it up at the end of the day and it works perfectly fine. Never had a problem, never leaks anything, no air leaks coming out of the chuck or the coil hose anywhere. Just got to make sure you keep the air intake filter clean, and that's pretty much all you got to do. They do service these things at their facility as well, so that's another cool thing is they're not too far from me. I can take it down there and have them go through it, make sure there's nothing wrong with it. And so really happy with the Viair system. It's just one of those workhorse proven air compressor systems that you can have in the back of your Jeep, and it actually doesn't take up a lot of space, so that's really nice too. All right, so before we go on to our next setup, I got to air this tire back down, so I'm going to spend a few minutes and just get back down to 10 pounds. Okay, next on the chopping block here is the Pittsburgh 150 PSI 12-volt high-volume air compressor from Harbor Freight Tools. It is, once again, a 12-volt compressor that is hooked up to our Crown Victoria Mule battery here. I've got it hooked up to the coil hose, to the air chuck here on the valve stem, and this is a thread-in style air chuck, and it doesn't have a button to hold down, which is kind of nice. I can just kind of let it run, but I have a feeling that I'll have to turn the compressor off to get an accurate reading on the gauge. Currently we are set at 10 pounds, so it's ready to go. We're going to set the stopwatch here in a second and see what it does. Okay, so I had to stop the timer because while I was checking this, I had to keep turning the compressor on and off. And as you can see, we're right about just shy of 30 pounds, so about 30, 31 pounds. And I flipped the switch, flipped it back on, and I heard a pop, and then the compressor just shut off. And the fuse blew. I don't know if you guys can see that, but yeah, the fuse is totally blown. And what's funny is this kit actually comes with an extra fuse. So I'm not sure if this is a common occurrence with this Pittsburgh compressor, but man, that was kind of annoying. It was it just went pow as soon as I turned it back on to check the pressure. And we got to about 30 pounds or so at 4 minutes and 56 seconds, just under 5 minutes to get to about 30 pounds. You can imagine it's probably a little bit more than that to get to 35 pounds, but man, that's kind of a disappointment, isn't it? Now, like I said, this one does come with an extra fuse in this little bag that was hanging off of the chuck here. So I guess if you're going to buy this compressor, make sure you bring a couple of these fuses with you. That's a 35 amp fuse because it just blew it. So kind of a disappointment, but then again, the price difference between these two is pretty substantial. So obviously one of them is more of a budget-friendly compressor. The other one is more of a higher end 12-volt compressor. I did, however, notice that the Pittsburgh got from 10 to 25 rather quickly, and then it just started to really slow down as it was getting up to about 30. It took about the same amount of time to get to 25 pounds as it did from 25 to 30 pounds. So I don't know if it's just, kind of fighting the amount of air that's in the tire or what was going on, but it definitely slowed down quite a bit there near the end. But that's why we do these tests. Let's air down back to 10 pounds, and then we're going to run the Powertank next and see just how fast that thing is. All right, so last but certainly not least is the Powertank system. This is the 10-pound bottle, CO2 filled. It's got a regulator on it, and of course the nice line here. And I'm borrowing the Viair's chuck because I lost my Powertank one. So this is set right now to 10 pounds. And what I have to do is open up the bottle here. So we're going to open this valve and then open the regulator all the way up. So it sets the tires. Right to there. Push this guy forward right here. So that engages it. And ready to rock. All right, guys, there you have it. 1:19. Very, very fast with the Powertank here at 35 pounds. Kind of hard to see, I know, but we're there, 35 pounds. And as you can see, the regulator and some of the lines here are frozen, kind of frosted over. That's just the effect of CO2 as it releases this this liquid CO2 gas here. It turns into dry ice essentially. So that's why it's all frozen up like this. But you really can't beat that time. 1:19, which means you're airing up 4 tires in about 5 minutes. It's pretty cool. That's really why this is my favorite system here. So yeah. All right, so there you guys go. All 3 of them have successfully aired up, well, almost successfully filled up the tire to 35 pounds, which is a normal street pressure that you would run after an off-road trip. And I'm going to go over some of the pros and cons of each one. So we'll start with the first, which is the Viair 400 PA automatic compressor. That one retails for about 180 bucks. So not too spendy, but it is, you know, really worth the money you spend on it because it has such a long lifespan. I've had this thing for so long and never had any issues with it whatsoever. The Harbor Freight runs at about 65 bucks, give or take. That's the Pittsburgh 150 PSI 12-volt compressor. A little bit cheaper than the Viair, obviously, less than half the cost of the Viair. But, you know, as we saw, we had that issue with the fuse popping. So, again, I don't know if that happens a lot to these things or what, because I just got it. So I'm willing to give it another shot and see how long I can get the next fuse to go for. But then again, yeah, it was really slow after about 25 pounds. It was starting to take a long time, and that one did take about 5 minutes to get us up to just 30 pounds. And last but not least, the Powertank 10-pound bottle system, which was the fastest with the blistering minute and 20 seconds compared to the compressors here. However, it does retail at about $680, so that's quite a bit more of an investment. However, you do get more than just the bottle and the air chuck and the hose. You get a mounting system, you get a tire inflation kit, like a little thing for patching tires and stuff. It comes with a lot of other stuff in the kit, so it's really cool. I really like this system, even though it does cost a lot more. It's just one of those things where I have to air up my tires all the time. Why not spend the money and just get the best thing out there? So obviously, one of the cons of the Powertank is you do have to have it refilled. Now, a lot of people do ask me, you know, how many tire fill-ups do you get out of a 10-pound tank? And the answer is at a full tank, you can get, on my truck with 35s, from about, you know, 10 to 15 PSI up to about 35 PSI. I can fill up all 4 tires about 4 times. So it lasts me about 4 wheeling trips, which isn't too bad considering, you know, I don't go out every single weekend. So I do fill this tank up a couple times a year, and it costs right around $25 to fill it up. If you take the regulator off and the handle off yourself, as you can see right here, this stuff has to come off to fill it up. If you take all this stuff off, it's about 25 bucks to fill it up. Big shout out to Giant CO2 in Santa Ana. They filled up this tank for me today, actually, so I really like those guys. They're nearby. They are primarily a beverage CO2 cylinder refill station, but they will absolutely do the Powertank for you guys, and they're no stranger to off-roaders because of that reason. So very cool of them to help us out for today's video. Thank you, guys. So you might be asking yourself which one's right for you. Well, that's going to depend on a few things. A, how many times a year do you go off-roading, or how often do you see yourself out there wheeling, airing down, having to air back up? How much patience do you have? A lot of people don't like to sit around all day and wait for their tires to air up. And then really what your budget looks like for your build. I mean, a lot of people have different ideas of what's expensive and what's not expensive according to, you know, what the importance of the part is. For me, the Powertank was the way to go, but that may be different for you. So there's a couple other compressors out there that I did want to review, but I didn't have here, namely the ARB twin compressor, and that's another popular option for a lot of Jeep guys. So I don't have that here, but maybe in a future episode I could review that one and see what it does. I really hope this video was informative for you guys, and let me know if you guys like these tech videos. I have a lot of tech topics I can go over. I enjoy doing videos like this. I'm kind of a tech guy myself, so really cool. Really happy that I was able to compare the three of these for you guys. If you guys don't already, make sure you subscribe to Driving Line, and you guys can catch all the Chasing Dust episodes as they come out every 2 weeks. I appreciate you guys following along, commenting, let me know what you guys want to see in the future. Really, really cool comments coming out of you guys, and I love it. Please keep it up. But that's going to do it for us today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. And once again, this is your truck editor at Driving Line, Matt McAdam, aka Desert Chief. I will see you guys on the next one. See ya.